Hello out there, Mongoose conservation friends. It's Tuesday the 4th of February 2025 and I have some exciting news for all of our supporters all around the world. The new store is live. You can order products directly from Spreadshirt and Spreadshop in America through the YouTube website. I am here with the Tsebokolodi Yellow Mongoose group in the Meerkat Magic Valley Reserve of the Meerkat Magic Conservation Project. And of course, this is Mongoose Magic Moments. You will find posters and over 284 different products per different image type, with which you can search for on the shop. The link to the store is on the YouTube site, and there are 30 products available directly through the YouTube storefront, which you can see. But if you choose any of those, you can visit the shop and see the full range per image. I've sorted them into various topics. I'm also excited to say that for the first time ever, from my Meerkats book, published in 2016, there are full-scale wall posters available. Currently, I've uploaded 4. It's quite a lot of work to get them into the correct format to upload, but they are available and also ship internationally. It's a beautiful day today. It's been pretty hot over the last few weeks. Temperatures have been well over 45 degrees centigrade, and the termites are feasting almost daily on all of this dried out vegetation as we wait for the cooler months, winter rainfall, to arrive. All of this vegetation, for those who have watched my work since 2008, you will have seen the different videos of the different wildlife hotels, sleeping burrows, and you have no doubt noticed sometimes it's just sand, and that's because the termites have done their job of removing the vegetation and taking it below the ground. So what we've got happening on most days, the meerkats and the mongooses and all the different reserve inhabitants are absolutely feasting on the termite swarms that are out and about. And there are many ants out as well, because it is so dry. They're coming out in search of water, so there are a lot of ant pupa that have been dug up as the ants spread out. There's a lot of excitement going on right now, and this is for those who are not familiar with them. I will introduce the individuals. We've got the dominant female right here, giving a warning that that is her termite patch and whatever else she's managing to dig up of the sand. There are lots of little micro animals. And there we go, first contact there. Of course, this is a hands-off research and conservation project, but I'm just basically an object, and Squeaky Scoiattollo, born in October last year, is still learning that I'm just this object that makes strange sounds and talks a lot basically and never disturbs them. So it allows us to get a unique window into their daily lives. And the dominant female is Cucciolina. And then we have the dominant male, Giabonga. I've done different videos and playlists so you can meet the different individuals up close. And please do let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more about specific aspects of the anatomy up close. The ears are very interesting as well because they have the fine hairs covering them. And the ears are very, very fine, almost like paper, and incredibly sensitive, and they move around easily. All right, that's quite interesting. We just had a little noise made in the distance as part of the neighborhood watch, and of course everybody has become very vigilant. You'll also notice that, there we go, raised guard going up briefly there at the burrow on a bit of vegetation. Squeaky Scoiattollo is very excited at this time of the day, usually has a lot of energy, so there's a lot of playing, and of course the playing can sometimes disturb the vegetation, suddenly making vegetation crunching sounds, and of course that causes an alarm with the adults. And there you can see what I was talking about a moment ago. A lot of playing, the bent tail and the running there. It really is a wonderful sign for me to see that even though we are having such dry conditions here over a month and a half now with barely more than 2 millimeters of rainfall sprinkling the area, the succulents are still managing to keep alive here as they suck up the water and maintain themselves waiting for the winter rainfall. However, there's enough good food available for animals like these to still play, which is always a good sign of condition. A bit of auto-grooming. Auto-grooming is when one animal grooms itself, and we may see look at the puffed up tail. That usually would be an indicator of a visual alarm, but even though meerkats also puff up their tail, it is not nearly as big as the yellow mongoose. Again, Cynictis penicillata, the species here. And of course we've got the Cape Grey mongoose, the water mongoose, the Egyptian mongoose as well in this area. You can see just sniffing the ground, eating tiny objects. It's basically non-stop throughout the day this will happen. That's the hardy-dar ibis in the distance, and although it is not a threat to them, it can also indicate potential danger has disturbed them, so they will always check if they hear these sounds to make sure that there isn't something potentially attacking them as well. Alright, that was a warning growl from the dominant female to let the now becoming more independent younger generation here of Squeaky Scoiattollo know, stay away from my foraging area. Even though the baby will still go up and take food from them, they are starting to make this growl more often. I'm a bit surprised it's taken them as long, because with meerkats it usually starts after about 3 months from birth. The babies are weaned off their mother's milk and go into solids, and although everyone feeds them, they will also start making a warning growl to basically let them know, alright, the easy time is over now, no more provisioning. There it is again. So that is a warning growl, saying keep your distance. So just like meerkats, they are not cooperative hunters. They will not simply go around sharing food. It's basically everyone for themselves when it comes to getting food, except what we are having here is a very interesting stage where the baby, who I'm still calling the baby, is really a teenager, a juvenile, is becoming more and more independent, but will still go up and take food, and they will simply drop the food when Squeaky goes up and reaches for it. Of course, I've been here from day one of Squeaky's emergence. For those of you who not know my work, I'm a professional nature conservationist, qualified in 1993. I'm the author of the Meerkats book, published in 2016 in New Zealand, Australia, and Britain simultaneously, and it's available. You can simply Google it on Amazon. There's sudden movements of vegetation here will always cause alarm, and that's good. These are not tame animals. If I had to move suddenly now, I can destroy many years of work and probably not be able to get that level of trust again. So what you're seeing is after, well, since 2008, I've been working with these mongooses on the reserve, and many generations since then. So each generation, like this youngest, has to be introduced to the sounds and movements very, very slowly. And it makes sure that nobody else can simply show up in the area, even though my reserve is monitored by cameras throughout the reserve. And it is a private reserve. It is still not possible to simply walk up to animals without the correct sounds and movements, and even clothing. For example, this pair of shoes that I have here are familiar, as you can see right there. Now this has only happened over the last few weeks, where I have been identified as just this object. As you can see there, I was sniffed. That's a scent association. I will not reach out and touch any of these animals. That's where I draw the line. This is a conservation project. It is not about handling or manipulating the animals. I'm simply collecting long-term demographic data, birth rates, death rates, natality, mortality, and of course it's all about protecting the habitat they're in. This particular study group has also been in my BMW International film, BMW Unscripted grant. You can Google search it or YouTube search it. It's also available on all the BMW International sites. And they featured in that BMW film with the Meerkats. Of course, not this particular generation, but those who have followed my work, and you can also follow me on social media, not just on my YouTube account, but throughout TikTok, Instagram, X, and the Facebook Mongoose Magic Moments and Meerkat Magic Moments, which are free to join information groups where I post information about the Meerkats and Mongooses and any other daily reserve life as and when it occurs that is of interest. And right now it's why I call it Mongoose Magic Moments. It's such a great privilege for me to be here amongst them, starting off over 300 meters away, way off into the distance where that tree line is back in 2008, and gradually moving closer and closer and closer over years and years and years to get to the point now where I can be right here and collect data on what they are doing. And right there we have a sniff greet from Squeaky to Giabonga, the dominant male. And my very familiar, to those who know my work, visual reassurance displacement, which I have used since 1993 and developed. I've also used it with chimpanzee in Uganda, Kibale rainforest, and banded mongooses in Queen Elizabeth Park, Uganda. That's Mongo, the most sociable mongoose on the planet, living in groups of up to 60. Records have shown. So this group has had over 6 individuals within the family before. It is very unusual for the groups to get much larger than 3 or 4 in this particular area, but yellow mongooses are highly adaptable and of course also occur up into the Kalahari Desert. They become more grey in appearance, but it is still Cynictis Penicillata. A white tip to the tail, you can see, is very easy to spot in this dull vegetation, even when the rest of the animal seems to just vanish. The beautiful Great Black Mountain Range can be seen in the distance as we go towards post-sunset. The birds are roosting in the riverine ecology. This entire valley, for those who know the area and have visited here, and you can visit if you're interested to, you can WhatsApp me or email to find out more. I only take a very few people at a time out to see the area, but this is an ancient riverbed system. So we've got a lot of interesting soil types here, mainly kaolinite clay and a lot of calcrete deposits, just the same as up in the Kalahari Desert, the Nosob, the Ayob and the Kuruman riverbed systems. These ancient riverbed systems are idyllic places for burrowing or fossorial animals to make their homes, because these burrows do not simply collapse and they are maintained and inherited over many different generations. The dominant female is currently looking around to see where everyone is, and there she's sniffing the entrance to one of the burrows, and a very fortunate bit of behavior to see, which is not commonly seen at this time of the day with the yellow mongooses here. A bit of burrow maintenance, basically sweeping out the hotel rooms. So although many different chambers exist in this hotel, they are not shared by different species at the same time. And here we have a very beautiful encounter with Squeaky right here. And of course I'm being extremely careful because I don't want to disturb this very tentative trust. And there you can see there's a lot of excitement, but it's not fear. Tails puffed up, is checking on where the mother is. Still learning. Everything is interesting and needs to be explored basically at this age. And the dominant male is being super vigilant there, Even the slightest sound that disturbs them would cause an alarm almost instantly, and it's very easy for observers for the first time to simply be deceived into thinking, well, look how relaxed these animals are. They are not zoo animals that have simply become tolerant of everything and ignore everything. These animals are highly sensitive to any sounds that might be from a predator attacking or approaching, crunching, twig scraping sounds, and so on. All right, it's difficult to even follow some of the movements because they're so quick. I'll zoom out just a bit there. Absolutely magnificent to see this baby, the first survivor over many years now, has been over 4 years without any baby surviving. We've had terrible droughts followed by the floods, and now it looks like we're in an unknown period where we could have some floods arriving, or it could just get drier and drier. That's why it is so interesting for me to be in these semi-desert ecosystems such as the Little Karoo in the Western Cape Oudtshoorn region of South Africa, and of course the 7 years I spent up in the Kalahari Desert, because these ecosystems can miraculously transform from being apparently completely barren, and after the rainfall they are flush with life, and a lot of the life is beneath the ground. As I've said in many of my other videos, it's a hidden world, the world beneath our feet. Dominant female again, and the baby close behind her. This is still what happens over the day. Baby here, Squeaky, Scoiattollo. For those who are not familiar with the Italian, Scoiattollo is squirrel, and he's been named squirrel by an Italian lady friend of mine. Shout out to you, Alessia Torchini. A Squeaky, and then we've got here Cucciolina, little puppy, also an Italian name. Giabonga, the dominant male, is thank you in Zulu, an African language, here in South Africa. And Gakulu, Cucciolina, Gakulu is very much because the dominant male and female, and that is a shout out to my mother Estelle Ilrath, who named the dominant male and female way back many years ago. So watch out for naming protocols when different generations arrive. I put up votes on different media sites, and if you cast your vote and it's one of the more popular names, it will be chosen and implemented. There's a lot of playing, a lot of excitement by the little squirrel here, constantly searching for food, scratching around. And there is an abundance of food at the moment. Even though the place seems so very dry, there is a great amount of food just beneath the ground. And like the meerkats, these mongooses have incredible olfactory senses, and they will pick up on the scent of food well beneath the surface. Alright, that is not the little squirrel actually eating the vegetation. This plant, which seems completely barren of food, actually has very small berries, which is in fact a lot of what they have been eating. The berries are the size of a pinhead, orange and red, and I have still seen some of them available, although most of them have been eaten. And the yellow mongooses I've documented here for the first time to my knowledge will in fact eat this species. Little squirrel is always very jittery and jumpy, which is very normal and is in fact a very healthy survival instinct. Any little sound from a bird that is not familiar to them, or the vegetation moving with a bit of the breeze that we've got now, and they will react. Of course, that is an excellent survival strategy. And basically, over time, when they learn what is dangerous and what isn't dangerous, they will start to overlook certain aspects of the environment. And that's why it's age and experience which are so important for survival for wild animals. When it comes to meerkats and the yellow mongooses, it's not about, oh, there's a zoo meerkat, it can simply be released into the wild. It will have no idea what is dangerous and what isn't dangerous and spend all its time running away to get to safety, and it won't know where the safety is, because that is an aspect that is, in fact, fork-tailed drongo. Very rare to see them here. A bird almost as large as a little squirrel here. Dicrurus adsimilis. Dicrurus. If you'd like to Google that one. It's a beautiful bird. The fork, F-O-R-K, tailed drongo. In fact, that's the first time I've ever seen them at the burrow area. But clearly, the mongooses are familiar with them because they just looked at them briefly. Alright, the male and female dominants have gone below. It's only the little squirrel still playing. Of course, just because it is getting darker and meerkats will be going to sleep as well, this does not mean the yellow mongooses will be going to sleep. They might just have a little siesta and then be up and about right from now throughout the night to the morning. They're completely adaptable. Their eyesight is incredible at night. They have a horizontally slitted pupil, not a vertically slitted pupil, so it's not like a cat's pupil. It's like a goat's pupil in appearance. And of course, meerkats have a round pupil. Now, I've mentioned this many times in different videos, but for any new viewers out there, just a bit of the anatomy. This is a bit of a sniff of the communal midden or latrine here. And it looks like little squirrel is in no rush to go to sleep. Having a brief look. Incredible eyesight. That is in fact Ilana ceruleus. Shout out to my photographer friend Renee. We have taken some beautiful pictures of the black-shouldered kite flying off into the distance. We actually have two breeding pairs of them. One is at the Stone Dojo gym. You can also check that out on my YouTube channel. Anybody interested to know more about that, it's a community gym mainly aimed towards the local children surrounding the reserve. But the black-shouldered kites have a nest nearby to the dojo. So, black-shouldered kite is not a threat to this size of mongoose, but when they are younger, they could be a meal for it. So they're still alert when they see it, but at this point in their lives, the little squirrel has learned that it will not attack. Alright, that's a bit of an excitement alarm. The bent tail, slightly puffed up, and then just running back to where the adults are. Very typical of a lot of younger animals. They will often play and then run back to the safety that they are most familiar with, the burrow, and of course their parents. I'm just going to continue filming for now to see what happens with our little squirrel here as they investigate the burrow post sunset. It's probably about 29 degrees to 32 degrees right now. That's what it feels like. Back to scratching at the Tribulus terrestris. I quite often have a repeat of some of the information, different videos, as I was mentioning, because it is for the benefit of new viewers or refreshers for previous viewers who have been supporting my work over many years. And we have the dominant male on the right, Giabongo, and then on the left, Cucciolina, as they emerge again, probably checking where the little squirrel is. So squirrel is sitting on a much more comfortable patch because it doesn't have the thorns on it now of the devil thorn, the devil kiss. Again, this is Tribulus terrestris, so it is the smaller yellow flower, not Tribulus zaheri, the larger one. Right, that's not actually burrow maintenance, but you will often find with younger mongooses, or yellow mongoose species specifically I should say, and the meerkats, they will start to imitate the behaviors they see around them from the adults, even though it doesn't seem that they know what they're doing really at that point. They will start learning by watching the different generations around them. The dominant male has been super vigilant now, which is very important, especially at this time of the day, to make sure that there are no potential predators approaching. They have been incredible parents. Both of them have taken turns looking after this baby for entire days without any food, and then of course feeding the baby. Even now, as I mentioned, that's still going on. Alright, I'm going to have this uploaded as a long play video format. It'll probably take almost 2 days to upload it with the bandwidth I have here on the reserve. It's very slow. And of course, I don't just do long play videos. There are many shorts, which are a minute to under 3 minutes long with a new YouTube format in 2024 and 25. But I'll be doing a long play upload of this. There's a little slither of the moon visible. And there's the puffed up tail. Let me just jump back there to show you that. Look at that tail, how puffed up it is. There's a lot of excitement going on here from Squeaky Scoiattollo, living up to their name. That squirrel tail. Unfortunately, there are no squirrels here. I do miss the Xerosinoris striped ground squirrel in the Kalahari. There's no Paraxeris apapi, which in fact would look a lot more similar to the yellow mongoose, except they're much smaller. The yellow squirrel, which I've seen in Pilanesberg Game Reserve, up past Johannesburg. Right. Lanius calaris, fiscal shrike calling in the distance. They will commonly follow meerkats and mongooses around. These birds are also known as the butcher bird. They're black and white. The laxman. And they will pin insects and even larger vertebrates such as geckos and lizards and scorpions and solifuges, which I've noticed, onto thorn bushes and also onto barbed wire fences. So that's tool usage by the fiscal shrike. And then it will return to the pantry or larder once the food has become subdued, especially the larger food, and then they will eat it at their leisure. So, very interesting bird in this area as well as the Kalahari Desert. I'll just lift the camera up a bit, even though I'm seated, so you can have a look to see the little squirrel. Way off in the distance, one of the neighbor's dogs are barking loudly, also part of the neighborhood alarm. And of course, the mongooses are not even perturbed by it. Dominant male has just come out again to check. Such great energy and excitement from the little squirrel. Beautiful light. To everybody who has watched the video, thank you for joining the Mongoose magic moments. And again, I recommend checking out the various social media. And of course, I hope to see you wearing some merchandise. If you do, send me a photograph of yourself with the merchandise and your name and country of origin if you like. I will add it to the different social media for our conservation supporters out there. So check out that store on YouTube. Until next time, friends, it looks like Squeaky is about to go to sleep. All the very best.